Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and joining me to discuss all things modern man in modern society are Ryan and Matthew. How are you, gents?
Well, good, mate. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm doing well enough. Well enough. Now, Matthew, what have you been up to in the last month?
Last month. Wow, kids are back at school. So for the last month, we've been entertaining them. We're on a bit of a week-long break down to the beach at the end of the holidays, which was nice. Nice way to end that. Just trying not to tear my hair out. Yeah, excuse me. Trying to juggle some work and looking after kids, and yeah, the Queensland heat. It's just a recipe for chaos. But no, it's good now. Yeah, they're back at school.
Yeah, I feel you. It felt like an extra long sort of 6 weeks this year. I'm not sure what it was, but it felt longer than normal, which is weird on the back of like 2 or 3 years of various lockdowns where you couldn't do anything for like months on end. But yeah, it felt weird. It felt like it kind of went for ages of school holidays this time around.
It is very true. That puts it in perspective. Like, well, you were worse than us, but we had lockdowns as well. But it seems like the school holidays just over that 6 week period just go for that extra bit longer. Well, our Queensland finishes. Our kids finished. Well, Mia finished the last week in November. Then the other two finished the week after that. So we're pretty much all December, all January. So I'd love for us to fall in line with most other states and go to mid-December and go back this week rather than last week, because last week was a bit of a shit show. You've got Australia Day. The kids do staggered starts. So there's one starts on a Monday, others Tuesday, others Wednesday, day off Thursday, back to work back to school on a Friday.
School is madness compared when we were kids. We used to start roughly around Australia Day and went all the way through to pretty much the 23rd of December. None of this staggered starts, finishing up in November. Like it was, you went to school and you just went to school. I don't know. It's just all over the shop now.
November does sound like a very, very long stretch.
I think the word
to keep them busy.
That's brutal. Wait, you Ryan? How's your month been?
It's been pretty good. Unlike the Queensland heat, I'm sitting in Europe and it's cold. Stuck in winter, but it's really good. Learning to speak more Spanish, which is great. Off to Naples on the weekend, so honestly I can't complain.
Just because going to Naples?
Gonna go to the heartland of pizza, I think it is. Go and eat pizza and pasta. Yeah, just love Italy, and just really I suppose after that whole COVID period and sitting over here, the whole plan was to go hard on the travels, so sort of making up for a bit of lost time with the ideal clock ticking towards suburbia, fatherhood, and all those good things that you guys experience and speak so positively about. So gonna make the most of it till we get back home later this year.
As we both described the school holiday period as brutal.
Indeed.
Well, that was one of your goals. We'll briefly touch on our goals from last month around 2023 as Matthew's daughter walks into the background just to give Ryan another taste of what fatherhood is like. They can walk in at any time, often at the most inopportune time. Kids can walk in.
Honestly, I've been sitting down for 11 minutes.
Well, it was obviously 10 and a half minutes too long.
Yeah, clearly.
We'll briefly touch on the goals.
I missed all of that. Go again there, Kane.
We're going to briefly touch on the goals, because part of what we're going to try to do this year is when we catch up to Daddy Eats Last, we're going to touch on the 2023 goals. Ryan with his stretch and super stretch goals, me with my list of some goals, and Matthew with goals yet to be determined or to be communicated.
Well, how did I go first then? Because I've been a busy boy.
Oh, there you go, Matthew.
Yeah. So I took a leaf out of Ryan's book and organised my goals in the same substructures as he did: family, career, health, adventure, wealth. And I didn't have super stretches, I just had other. So I'll just take a couple out of from each. So family, I realised over the last year I'm a little bit of an impatient man when it comes to the family. So that's top of the list. There is increased patience and a bit of tolerance. I tend to perhaps shut the children down when they are talking to me, if they're asking some questions, rather than listen to the whole question, and whether it's I'm in a rush or I'm doing something that requires my full concentration. They're just asking me a funny time, but they are just kids, so they don't know that. So it's my goal to just be a bit more tolerant and listen a bit better.
Matthew, why is the sky blue?
It just is. Now,
why does the water look blue when I put it in my cup? It's see through.
I'll just make a note of that, and I'll come back to you next week with an answer.
Oh, good. You goal tick.
Isn't that
Good patience.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Organised a monthly dinner with Kim and get some babysitting done for that, and a trip down to Melbourne with Eloise. So I've done a trip with both of the other kids in the past where we just chill out in the city and go out to the zoo, have a bit of a look around. Not go out to mum and dad's, because every sort of trip to Melbourne gets sucked up with that, rather than going to see the city itself, which is fantastic. I love doing that. Health, I want to do a 21K or under an hour 45 this year. So no full marathon, but we'll do a half marathon. And just a bit better time management in regard to a gym attendance. So this year, 2022 was a bit over the place in terms of renovating the shop and things like that. So if I can get a bit more structured there. And increased reading time. So I tend to, as I was doing a bit last year, get back from the gym and downtime with TV. But I'd like to be downtime with reading. You boys have discussed the benefits of reading before bed. It eases the brain, I guess, into a more relaxed state than watching TV would. So that's on 2023. And just do some more hiking in 2023 as well. So I'm hoping to do Everest in 2024. So 2023, we're getting the hiking boots on and planning a bit for that. And to coincide with that, go to a Nepalese restaurant. I've never had Nepalese food before. So there's that one there as well. And just on the other, which no one's really going to understand this, but my shed out the back of the house is it's been an absolute, you can't even walk in it for about 2 years. And every time my dad comes up, he has a go at me and I just laugh it off. But this is the year that there's going to be, it's got a lot of Kim's crap in there, which we'll clear out. We'll get a skip bin or something. But yeah, that's my other goal. So maybe that's a bit of a super stretch, but I've called it other because I can't stretch it out any longer.
No, there's one
declutter.
There's one glaring
Declutter,
omission.
yeah.
Glaring omission from that list, Matthew. It's just complete the cubby.
That's 2024. So actually funny. So the last couple of years, Kim's asked me, she wants a clothesline. What's a clothesline? So I finally got her one for Christmas. And she's been waiting for it for 2 years to be purchased. So I said, I'll slot that in somewhere 2024, 2025 to put it up. So that might have to go on the goals list for this year as well. See how much nagging gets done.
That's gold.
We'll get just a short little wrap up. My goal.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a really nice list and totally achievable. Apart from the 21Ks and 145, I don't know. It's probably achievable. It seems fast. I don't really know.
That seems fast.
Good time.
Yeah, I did in training for the marathon last year. I did 150, so I'm figuring I can probably shave 5 minutes off, given the fact I was training for 42 then and not for 21. So we'll see. Watch this space.
I like it.
That'd
I
be a
like
good
it.
one.
Well, being school holidays, my year kind of starts yesterday. The little fellow went back to school yesterday, so my year effectively runs from now until December. I run a 10-month year. I don't run a 12-month year like the calendar or a 13-month year like the Simpsons. I'm on a 10-month year. So yeah, mine effectively started yesterday, and I'll start working towards them as we go. I have been walking and listening to a podcast basically every day. I was trying to do that 3 times a week, but I'm basically doing that 5 or 6 days a week, which has been good. Hey Ryan, how are you going with your set? Because you may have started from day one or not far off.
Yeah, it started from day one. It's going well. They are ticking along. I have already cleaned off the move to Barcelona. So nice little adventure goal there, and working underway with getting proficient at Spanish, Espanol. And as of tomorrow, we'll tick off another one, which will be having completed dry January. But yeah, just heading into a bit of a grind week. A lot of things with the Cambridge degree, and a lot of things work wise next month. So just looking at that as a real head down, bum up, all things work. But it'll be nice to cross another one off tomorrow with dry Jan.
How do you find dry January?
I've done it a couple times. And to be honest, like I always try and take a month off all the beverages. I found this one probably the easiest one that I've done. And two reasons for that, I think. One, just because I've been so busy with everything else, and Spain has a very different drinking culture to England, so that's helpful. But two, actually, just some really good tasting non-alcoholic beers now.
They really
And that
are.
makes it super easy. But like, I think my sleep's definitely better. Don't know if I've got more energy because I'm just pretty exhausted at the moment. I'm spending a lot of time just traveling for work and doing some long hours, 6-7 days a week. But yeah, by and large, I think I would be managing it a lot harder if I was carrying a bit of a sluggish, just booze fog. So, and unlike most times where I've kind of taken the month off and then been like, all right, tomorrow night would plan to go out to a restaurant and have, already ordering a bottle of wine plan and all that kind of thing. There's not really a huge urge to jump back in anytime soon. I think by and large, I'll probably stick with the non-alcoholic beers because they're quite good. And I think it'll just be, hopefully sort of more of a habit change to just sort of Friday, Saturday, only if we're kind of out at a restaurant, have a couple glasses of wine type thing. Because definitely feeling better from it.
That's not surprising. Not surprising, to be honest. Like it's after a certain period of time of not drinking, you kind of. I felt a lot better after even a month. I'm 800 plus days now without having a drink, so I kind of have no intention of probably drinking again, much to my wife's shock and horror. She every time we kind of discuss it, she's like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. Well, you're not going to have a drink ever again? Well, no, probably not. I don't see when or why I would.
What's the 800 days is amazing. What do you think beyond like the quick benefits? You do kind of feel like just having, obviously there's a few more dollars in the bank by not doing it, and you do sleep a bit better and got a bit more energy. But what longer term benefits have you felt from that 800? And I think it's really interesting because, like, I don't know, like growing up, obviously alcohol was always a big part of being like a man, and you drink beer and all that kind of, especially if like you played footy and all those kind of things like I did. But I think there's definitely like a changing culture towards it now. There is a lot more, I don't know, especially over here, dry January is quite popular, and I think dry July back home's, each year gets bigger and bigger. So there's definitely more acceptance, and like if you look at some of the info, the generation that are just adulting now basically drink heaps less than previous generations. So I think there's a big change. But yeah, what long-term benefits have you found going 800 odd days?
There's no excuses. You don't have an excuse. You like, I'm a bit hungover, I'm a bit dusty, or I need a drink. There's just no excuses. So like, it's kind of full accountability all the time, if you know what I mean. Like you can't really just, I'm too hungover to do X or do Y, or I'm feeling a little bit seedy, or all those sort of things. I guess is probably the longer term, because after the first sort of 30 days, maybe 100 days, you probably don't feel any different. Like after 100 days, you're probably you sleeps back into some sort of routine. You're not, your REM sleep and your slow wave sleep are kind of probably stabilized after that. So after that, it's just, I don't know what longer term things will look like, but after 100 days, you probably don't feel any different to day 800. But at day 100, you probably feel awesome.
With dry July, dry January in the UK, how easy do you think it'd be if it was dry January in Australia and dry July over in the peak of summer? Do you think it'd be as easy as what you found it, Ryan, doing it there in winter?
No, I have done a dry Jan in Oz.
Okay.
And it's tough. I get why people then do like the Feb fast instead. Because you do have the public holidays, you've got summer, you've got all that joy there. There is a little bit of a thing there, but I think when I did it, it was like 5 years ago. Whereas now, I do think something that has really changed everything is, the non-alcohol beers actually taste pretty good. So, like during this time, like we've walked into bars here, and if you go into a good one, they have them on tap. So you just kind of get a pint, and you sort of feel like you don't really feel any different apart from actually you just don't get fuzzy, really. So I think it would be much easier to do it now than when I did it like 5 years ago. And I don't know, like Kane, how do you find that's probably the big thing is like you go out to a dinner, like we've gone out to a few dinners in Jan and that, and people are ordering wine and all those kind of things, and you're sitting there with your zero alcohol beer. That's probably the time where it's like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind just a glass of wine or something. How do you find the social element of it?
Oh, now there's non-alcoholic beers. Non-alcoholic wines are still awful. The non-alcoholic spirits are okay. The non-alcoholic beers are great. So, outside the fact it says 0.0 on it, or there's zero alcohol in the beer, you don't notice anything. We had a parents' function for it must have been Kinder maybe 18 months ago, and the first round was difficult. We go, oh, do you want something to drink? And I didn't know there'd be non-alcoholic beer, so I was like, oh no, I don't want anything now. And then people they were cheersing and stuff because we got through another year of Kinder or something. Like, I mean, as parents, it's the kids who do it. But then I went up to the bar and they had non-alcoholic beer. I've gone, oh great, I'll have a couple of them. So it was just more the first one, sometimes not knowing at that point that a venue actually stocked non-alcoholic beers. Where now, I went to a wedding 3 weeks ago and they had like 5 or 6 non-alcoholic beers. So it's, like you said, it's probably completely different even from 18 months ago.
What do you think the benefits are of say that situation there where you go out for dinner and you might have one or two glasses? Do you think there's any benefits or difference if you stopped drinking completely versus having one or two? Like, how different is your sleep going to be after, say, one glass or two glasses? And I ask this because I don't drink during the week. The only time I'll really drink is if I do go out, or if it's a Saturday afternoon at home and I've mowed the lawn, I might have a couple of beers. So by no means am I smashing down a 6-pack every single night. So for me to stop completely, am I really going to notice the benefits as opposed to the benefits someone would notice if they were a raging alcoholic? So
probably not. Like, I've been probably a raging alcoholic to some extent, where I'd drink a bottle of wine a night, 2 or 3 nights a week, or maybe even more nights a week. So you notice it probably, chalk and cheese, where that marginal 1 glass here, 1 glass there probably wouldn't make any difference.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, you probably sleep badly that night, but by the next night you're back to normal.
Yeah, I think by and large you're pretty fine. I think one thing I have noticed is like it does compound a bit, like going to the gym this week or last week, like playing sport or whatnot, after several weeks off, definitely like you've just got more in the tank. You can recover better. You're doing a row better. You're doing a run better. So like, I think I plan to climb Mont Blanc later this year, and I'm definitely going to take from this I'll take a month off leading up to that completely, because I do think it takes about probably 2, 3, 4 weeks to really get good compounding oxygen benefits. But I think for general life, no, I don't reckon, unless you're training for an event or something.
I was going to say, Matthew, it could be how you can shave your 5 minutes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a month off.
Good. I do think it's definitely like there's been a number of years now that I've been trying to do this. And I know, Kane, you've just gone the whole, multiple years now. But I started to do it because I was previously involved with a hospitality venue. And when you're involved in hospitality, it's very easy to be at many functions where the drinks are flowing. So I was like, okay, I need to be able to go a month off. Every year that I've done it, it's gotten easier. And I think part of that is not just the fact that I'm getting used to it, but I think a big part of it is it's becoming much more socially accepted and okay, which I think is a big change, especially for men to get their head around.
Yeah, it used to be. Yeah, it used to be even 18 months ago, 2 years ago, it'd be like you'd have to explain it. Oh, why aren't you drinking? Like I remember I wasn't drinking. I hadn't drank for about 100 days leading into my dad's 60th, and he's turning 70 this year. So this is 10 years ago. My parents were asking my now wife, my girlfriend back then, oh, what's up with Kane? Like, why is he not drinking? Is there something wrong? Like, it wasn't like, oh, he's just chosen not to drink for 100 days. It was, or for how long I wasn't drinking for. It was like, oh, what's wrong with him? It didn't ask me, but asked somebody close to me.
I found as well with a lot of the dads I go out with, if we're at the having drinks at a pub or something like that, the guys that aren't drinking for whatever reason, it's encouraging. Like you're happy for them. You want to know, you start. It's a talking point as well. Oh, what makes you want to do that? And there's no negativity or, oh, you're a loser, you're not drinking, that kind of thing. It's always, that's great, mate. Good on you for doing that. So I think like you said, compared to when we were kids and our fathers and grandfathers and things like that, just come from circle.
I don't think I agree with Kane. I don't think that was the case even 18 months ago. I think now there is like a real, because you usually also now I've found not the only one, or even with like I was at Cambridge in one of the pubs with this, and I ordered one, and the person had a beer beforehand, and then they ordered one, and they were like, what I've actually found is, he was like, I love a beer, but every second one now I'm ordering 0 alcohol, because I'm so much better the next day, so much fresher. Like it keeps you from, because you kind of hit that point after a certain amount where you just sort of just going, like you don't think about the next day. You're just so much in the moment or whatnot. And he's like, what it does is every second one spaces him out. So he's like, I had this really nice little relaxed buzz, and then I'm fine the next day. Whereas before he'd be like, yeah, I'd have 4 and I'd be very sore the next day.
Yeah, it's just, and these sort of things are the same as anything. Like and James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, like I've read that book a couple of times, and it's if you want to give up something or you want to change your habits, I think it's a great book to actually understand the sort of 3 different levels which change happens from. Like first layer is basically changing outcomes, which is stopping doing something, or goals are usually associated with that level. That second layer is kind of changing your process. So if you wanted to give up alcohol, you change your process by emptying your fridge and cupboards of sort of all alcohol. But that third layer, which is the deepest layer, which is probably the most effective to make any sort of habit change stick, is around changing your identity. And that's where you actually change your beliefs or your sort of worldview, where you actually say, I am not a drinker anymore. It's not like it's changing how you think, if that makes sense. I'm not a drinker, therefore I do not drink. It's sort of a deeper way of changing, as opposed to maybe a more superficial, I'm just not going to have a drink, if that makes sense. But if anyone's looking to change any habit, and it's the end of January, like if you're operating a 10-month calendar year like I do with a kid, New Year's tomorrow. If you want to change your habits, I'd highly recommend Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a great book. And his newsletter, weekly newsletter, is one of the best newsletters on the internet as well.
It It is about the only newsletter that I have not unsubscribed from.
Yeah, I cycle through different ones. It's on my list of must reads every week now. Seth Godin's a daily one. I always read Seth Godin's daily one, and then James Clear on a weekly basis is on that list as well.
Yeah, James Clear's the only weekly one, and then Daily Stoic's the only daily one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, too much information overload.
Correct. And
But
you get information at the right
having
time.
just finished, exactly. I mean, having just finished a month, like I definitely would encourage people just to start with that. And will, when I go and sit in Italy on the weekend, will I have a glass of wine? Absolutely. But will I probably at lunch have a beer or a 0 free beer? I'll probably stick with the 0 free beers.
Yep. Yeah, excellent. I've got one last one on the alcohol thing. I've got, for my 30th birthday, I got a bottle of Henschke, which is now perfect to drink. So I've had it for 10 years, effectively, had it for more than 10 years now. My dad's turning 70 this year. So it's this is where you kind of, my wife's like, oh, you're going to have a glass of that, aren't you? I said, well, I'm not intending on doing it. I'll open it and he can drink it. And if you're there, you can have some. But even that, I'm like, I don't like, despite it being a bottle I got for my 30th, I've had it for 13 years. I'm sure it'd be awesome. I just have no interest.
The tough one.
It is a tough one. That's probably the toughest one. Like I can handle the social situations now, been there, done that. But yeah, like a bottle, which is probably the nicest bottle of wine I'll maybe ever have, or would ever have. Yeah, that's probably the trickiest hurdle to jump over, but I think I'll be fine.
Clearly, after 800 days, though, it doesn't sound like you've got any issues of, lapsing and jumping.
No, especially seeing a lot of that was through the
the.
pandemic.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if you survived the pandemic, I think you'll be fine.
Should be.
That's
I should
right.
be. Well, gents, if there's
Yeah,
nothing
water.
further, we may call this meeting to a close, adjourn Daddy Eats Last until next month, in which time we will be back with another episode of Daddy Eats Last, or another glass. It might be a non-alcoholic glass of Daddy Eats Last, or it might be full of booze. We don't know until next month, and we will see you then.
Bye bye. Bye bye.